Hello, lovelies. I hope you're all having a wonderful Monday. It's beautiful here, a tiny bit chilly, but honestly, it's been really beautiful the last couple of days, really sunny, so that's been really nice. It does make being inside a little bit harder, but it also makes going outside for walks a little nicer too. So take the good with the bad. Um, so I just wanted to sort of for today's Mental Health Monday touch a bit on what I was talking about in my blog post from last week, So Why Am I Sad? So if you haven't read that yet, you can do so. It's up on the blog at arendablog.ca. It should be the first one that comes up on the homepage. But for those who haven't read it, I got my MRI results last week and they were all good. But I felt after the initial relief, I noticed that I was trying to convince myself that I was crying happy tears, and I was like, why do I have to convince myself of that? That's strange. And I also got the sense that I had felt this sort of sadness in the past at getting my good results, but that I had probably just ignored it or didn't know what it was, and so pushed it away, or recognized that it was sadness and I didn't want to feel that, so pushed it away. But this year, I think because I've been in the last year and a half, been focusing so much on my mental and emotional health. And I think just getting in touch more with my intuition and my gut and who I am, just like getting more in touch with my feels. And where they're coming from and why, and not being afraid of that and not running from that. I think that has sort of changed my default reaction to negative emotions, which I think is a really important thing, because as I've talked about before, we have this tendency as humans to push away our negative emotions and not deal with them because it's not fun. So I think this is a good evidence for me that if you're persistent and patient and committed to exploring your emotions and going deeper, and even if they're not pleasant emotions, really trying to get to the root of them so you can deal with them in a healthy way, continuing to do that on a regular basis, it's been proven to me now that it really does change your patterns of behavior, really, surrounding your emotions. So that was really encouraging for me. But I think for a lot of people right now, probably a lot of stuff is coming up. And I think it's because so many of us are alone with our thoughts and our feelings right now, or even if we aren't alone at home, even if we have a roommate or a partner or spouse, family, kids, we don't have as many distractions as we usually do. So right now, because we don't have as many distractions as we usually do, we don't have as many ways to keep our minds busy. And it can be quite damaging to always let our negative emotions and thoughts sort of run wild in the background. But I think right now it's especially so because I think our brains right now are bringing up a lot of things for us because we actually have the mental space and energy and time right now to think about them. In our day-to-day lives, a lot of us are so busy that we're so distracted by other things that our brain's just like, no, we have no time for that. It's getting put on the back burner. But now that we have more time, most of us, some people are busier than they've ever been because they're essential workers. But for those of us who are finding ourselves with a lot of downtime, I think it is going to be quite normal for you to notice that a lot of stuff is coming up. A lot of negative feelings, probably anxiety, potentially depression. And it's just stuff that has been ruminating under the surface, but we're just not aware of it because we're so distracted and busy most of the time. So I think right now I know for me, this is true, and I'm imagine that it's true for a lot of you out there, that we really are our brains are supplying us with these emotions, thoughts, all sorts of stuff that maybe it hasn't had the time and space to think about recently, or in previous months. But that being said, I think it also makes it the best time to explore them and to do some digging into any emotions or thoughts and stuff that's coming up, because we do have that extra mental space and energy and time to actually do that work. So it actually makes it a really great time for those of us who, aren't working in our regular jobs, or maybe don't have as many extracurriculars to do, and that kind of stuff. Our kids aren't as busy either, so we just have more time. So for those of us who just have more time, this time right now is a really great time to do some of that digging. And I think also, so if you haven't set up already a habit of regularly checking in with your mental and emotional state, I think that I really want to encourage you to set that healthy habit now, to sort of just once a day or once every couple days, however you feel it out, whatever's right for you. Take a few minutes to sit down on your own and just really check in with yourself. You may want to write instead, or you could, talk to yourself, do voice notes, or, just sit quietly and check in mentally in your head. So I really want to encourage you to do that. And I also want to encourage you, if you haven't in the past, or maybe you've gotten out of the habit because you're finding it hard to stay motivated while you're, stuck at home. I know that's probably happening to a lot of people. Routines are probably falling off because, everything is so different. But I also would really like to encourage you to be regularly, to set up a habit of doing things that support your mental health, even when you're not finding yourself in a crisis or like actively feeling, something really hard, really negative. Because if you do the base work of supporting your mental and emotional health, even when you're not experiencing something like really acute, it's going to better prepare you for your moments in the future when you do have those things that you're trying to deal with. A really wonderful friend of mine, Jane, reminded me when I was getting really anxious about my results, my MRI results. She reminded me that I've been working to prepare myself for moments like this for a really long time. And it was a really lovely reminder of how important that sort of base work is, even when you're not acutely feeling something, because it, like I said, allows you to prepare for those moments in the future when you will be feeling something. So I would really, really encourage you to do something to establish support for your mental health on a regular basis, even when you're not in an emotional, negative emotional state. So that could be anything. Commit to doing, yoga or walking or some sort of light exercise once a day. It could be, journal writing. It could be therapy. It could be anything that brings you calm, brings you peace, brings you joy, and supports your mental health. Meditation is one of my absolute faves. Probably meditation and tapping are my go-tos for calming myself in an acute situation, but also just doing it on a regular basis so that I am prepared for those moments when I am feeling something. And a little tip for helping you get in that habit, because sometimes it can be really hard, of course, to start something new and to have it become an established part of your routine. But if you just like, your kids, if you have kids and you say, when you finish your homework, you can do this, same thing. So think of a healthy reward or treat that you can give yourself for having done whatever it was that you wanted to do that day for supporting your mental and emotional health. So that could be, like, I'm going to make myself a cup of my favorite tea once I finish my meditation, or I'm going to have, a piece of super dark chocolate, or I'm going to, go to my room for a half an hour, no kids, no partner, nobody, no phone, and just, read a chapter in my book that I've been meaning to get to, or watching a favorite episode of your TV show, or something like that. And that will give you the motivation to kind of, to do whatever it is that you want to do, whether that's writing in your journal, doing some yoga, doing a meditation, whatever. And then it'll motivate you to do it. And then eventually, you won't need that motivation. It'll just be part of your routine. And, you'll probably feel weird if you don't do it. So that's what I would love to encourage you all to do for Mental Health Monday. Just make a commitment to really checking in with your emotions, digging deep, not pushing them aside. And now is the absolute perfect time to do that, when we have more mental space and energy and time, most of us, for that work right now. I hope you continue to have a wonderful Monday, and I will see all of you soon. Have a great week. Bye.